Welcome back to the further adventures of the monad. I wish to focus this presentation by clarifying what I mean by planes of matter. In an attempt to try and represent a concept that occurs in 52 dimensions, being reduced to just 2 is going to create some confusion. When the first plane of matter is born into our universe from the antiverse, on a piece of paper, we can represent it as a line or a circle. In reality, it comprises within it all 51 planes of matter that eventually grow out into a fully formed universe. We cannot even accurately visualize 4 dimensions, and yet here we have 51 of them. Whatever plane one is, it contains the blueprint of all that is to follow. I started by saying there were 52 dimensions. The 52nd dimension is time. On any plane you may be considering, you have a number of dimensions. On each plane, you also have time present. Time does not just exist around us, it exists everywhere. It may be perceived differently on varying planes, but its beat is relentless and always moving forward. You can view a memory, but you cannot repeat time. Sorry if that has shattered your game plan for improving your life. If you have an issue with that, take it up with the Absolute. Each time you descend a plane of matter, you increase the number of monads that cluster together to form that plane by a factor of 49. They increase the density of that plane, but it also decreases a dimension. Wrapping up that plane of matter in another cluster of 49 atoms, which themselves are clusters of more atoms, means you have constrained yourself within an envelope. So moving from the first plane to the second plane, you go from being a single, free, unconscious monad to being a cluster of 49 monads. You are still unconscious, however. Now, what I want you to try and visualize is that on plane 1, you encompass the entire universe, all 52 dimensions of it. Once you reach plane 2, you have not only shrunk down to 51 dimensions, but you are no longer present everywhere. You now exist in a cluster called galaxies. When you look out into intergalactic space, as one does of an evening when going for a walk, all that space between those galaxies contains only primary matter. It is only when you re-enter the galaxy cluster itself do you start to enter into a new plane and dimension. So, our simple model of one plane being stacked on another, as represented by a 2-dimensional diagram, may make it easier for us to quickly represent certain concepts, but it does not equate to what is actually happening out in our universe. How are we to codify what is happening as lower planes of matter get built out? We can think of them as worlds. A galaxy appears more often than not to be on a flat plane. Remember, you are only looking at the lowest of all the 49 planes when you view it. If all 50 higher planes of matter are taken into account, you end up with a sphere, a globe if you will. This becomes easier to visualize when we encounter our own solar system and look at our planet. And that certainly looks like a globe. And when you consider this structure, it exists on 4 planes of matter, 46 to 49. This world or globe is where we are evolving right now. I can talk about plane 49, but in reality, what I am talking about is globe 49. This makes more sense when you think about our own subtle bodies. They have been described as a series of envelopes that exist mainly within the periphery of our physical body, but protrude to a certain distance beyond it. Our emotional body does not exist on some linear flat plane of matter. It exists as a body around us. Even thinking of it like this is not completely accurate. Why? Because it exists in 4 rather than 3 dimensions. In moving to plane 48, we have unpacked one layer of 49 matter and liberated a dimension in the process. How does this impact on our discussion going forward? I just want you to realize that if I talk about a plane of matter, I am just using the term plane as a simple descriptor to let you know that we are moving from one atomic world to another one. In the process, the number of dimensions, the vibrational frequency, and the density of matter on that plane has changed. What has really happened is that we have moved from one world to another within the envelope of a great being we know as our planetary logos. I am glad I've got that off my chest. Until the next time, thank you.